Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, distinguished Toastmasters, guests. After I attended my first Toastmasters meeting and I knew I was going to join, I started thinking right away about what I was going to say and what point I was going to try and get across about myself. I tend to think about things an awful lot, and all these flurry of thoughts going through my mind all the time. It was sort of like if you're watching a movie and there's a car accident and somebody gets hit and they're laying on the ground and their life starts to pass before them. All those vivid images, I have that all the time. I think about everything. I think about things. I think about thinking about things. It's a little crazy, I think. You'll be making the decision. So after doing this for several days, I finally told myself, stop. If I can get up here on stage and give my speech in a lot amount of time, thank you, Ms. Timer, make it somewhat interesting, hopefully nobody's head will hit the table, and have you convinced that I'm not crazy by the time you leave, I will have accomplished one of my goals. I grew up in Easton, Pennsylvania, which is about 100 miles northeast of Philly. And it's the home of Larry Holmes, the heavyweight boxing champ, and also the home of Dixie Cup. I'm the youngest of three. I have an older brother and an older sister. And because of this, I feel I became very competitive in nature. But after I started going through my speech a lot, I think maybe it was just attention that I was seeking. Some of the things that I would do to get attention were good, some were bad. Some of the good things were I would clean the house for my parents, and they would say, oh, what a nice job. Or I'd cut the grass. Oh, that was great. We love that. I try to be the fastest, try to be the smartest, try to be the funniest. Now, for the bad things. Because my wife said, no, don't tell them that stuff. And I said, well, the theme is, am I crazy? So if you only know the good part, you won't be able to decide. So some of the bad things that I did was I would kick holes in walls. I kicked a hole in our front door one time. I poured paint on the bathroom sink, and it dried. I even went as far as chasing my brother and my sister around the house with knives, saying, I'm going to kill you, until I got my way. Now, my mother and father both worked during the day, so my mother usually got the phone call, and I would hate to be her employer, thinking, what is up with this lady and her kids? So, I don't know. Am I crazy? When I was younger also, I started a battery club. Yes, you heard correctly, a battery club. AAA, AA, D-cell, C-cell, 9-volt. And the whole purpose of the club was to discover batteries and you know, how they worked and what they looked like inside. And I don't know, is that crazy or just stupid? I would beat up my best friend every single day. And believe it or not, we'd come up, we'd play all day long, and then it was time for him to go home. And I'd beat him up, and he'd run home crying. This went on day after day after day. My best friend, he's not that smart. After some time, though, went by, I'd call him up and say, hey, you want to come on up and play today? He said, no, I don't want to come up today. You're just going to beat me up. And I'd say, no, I'm not going to beat you up. And we would banter back and forth. And eventually, I would convince him to come up. He'd come up, and I'd beat him up before he went home. And he went home crying every single time. As I got older, we started to, my friends and I, buddies, we would be in groups of 6 or 8, and we'd see a cop car, so we decided for excitement what we would do is run as soon as we saw the cop car. We'd see the cop car, and it worked. We acted like the deer in the headlights, surprised, and we'd scatter in all different directions as quick as we could. The cops were right on it. They'd flick on the lights right away, but then there was that hesitation. And it was almost like, you know, when you're watching the wildlife movies and you got the hunter and you got the prey, he was looking for the weak one of the group. Which one did I catch? They never caught us. We had a great time. When shortly after college, Married my wife now 24 years. We moved out to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and for no reason whatsoever. And on the way out there, I can remember being on I-40 and looking at the speedometer, and it read 85 miles an hour, and I just thought to myself, I can't believe these trucks go that fast. And then I thought, we are making some fantastic time, because we're coming from Pennsylvania to Albuquerque. And then I had all those images again flash through my head. And it was like the image of our truck in a ditch, ripped open, our belongings all over the place, and the vehicle's all ruined. And I thought, hey Rob, you think maybe you should slow down a little bit? Everything we own is on here. So I'm no longer the smartest person, the fastest person, or the best behaved person. I no longer belong to the Battery Club. I know we're all disappointed about that. And I'm happy to say, I no longer chase my brother and sister around with knives. I'm pretty content and happy where I am with my life right now, crazy or not. Mr. Toastmaster.